Every Christopher Nolan movie is an event, but even as far as his endlessly debated work goes, the build-up to the Odyssey has been exhausting. Rarely has a movie ever been as exhaustively picked apart even before it came out, with every trailer and piece of new footage being finally dissected. Love him or hate him, no one inspires more chatter among audiences than Nolan, with him perhaps the only director who could turn a movie about the father of the atomic bomb into a billion-dollar blockbuster. But even by Nolan's own standards, the Odyssey is a giant, with him tackling Homer's ancient Greek epic, albeit through a controversially contemporary lens with colorblind casting and modern vernacular. Many may have already made up their minds about whether or not they'll like this without even seeing it, but if you're willing to go along for the journey, you'll realize that Nolan has crafted perhaps his most ambitious film to date. It's a lot of movie, and one that I'll fully admit may take more than one viewing to fully appreciate, something that has been the case for several of his films. Yet it can't be denied that the Odyssey contains some of the most dazzling filmmaking in recent memory, with certain set pieces ranking among the finest of his career. But does it all hold together? That's what I kept thinking on the drive home from my screening. While running close to 3 hours, the Odyssey moves along at a fairly quick pace and is never less than compelling. Yet it didn't leave me with my jaw on the floor, as earlier Nolan movies like The Dark Knight or Inception did, nor did it overwhelm me emotionally like Interstellar. Yet it also didn't piss me off like Tenet, a movie I was convinced that I hated after my first viewing, but later came around to. Narratively, this is Nolan's most ambitious and experimental film since Memento, with him adopting a highly non-linear style. It starts with Odysseus, played by Matt Damon, having been gone from Ithaca for 20 years, fighting the Trojan War, with his now grown son Telemachus, played by Tom Holland, fighting off would-be suitors for his mother, Penelope, played by Anne Hathaway, each of them wanting to become the new king of Ithaca, as the Trojan War has been over for 10 years and Odysseus is presumed dead. One of the suitors, Antoninus, played by Robert Pattinson, is more calculating than the others, hoping to provoke Telemachus into violating Zeus's law, which states that he must provide the suitors with hospitality. If he attacks them, they are within their rights to exile him, leaving the throne to be theirs. From there we find Odysseus, older and living on an island with Charlize Theron's Calypso, a sea nymph who has used magic to make him forget his past life. But things start to come back, and from there the film intercuts between Odysseus' memories of the perilous journey home after the end of the Trojan War and Telemachus' struggle to keep Ithaca under his father's absent rule. Despite the structure, the Odyssey is pretty easy to follow, with the pacing excellent, and Nolan, of course, is still a master of his craft. The cast is strong, with Damon ideally cast as the heroic but flawed Odysseus. Physically, the role must have been a monster, with him in the best shape of his life and plunged into some incredible hand-to-hand action sequences, particularly in the jaw-dropping finale, which ranks alongside Nolan's best action scenes. But Odysseus has to be somewhat impulsive and haunted, something that comes into play when we finally see the fall of Troy, which isn't actually depicted until the film is nearly over. Damon is well supported by Tom Holland, who is excellent as the conflicted prince who's been coddled by his mother but now has to become master of his own fate, with the actor growing into a solid leading man. By contrast, Anne Hathaway's Penelope is more conniving than you'd expect, with her trying to keep her son in his place, even if you understand her reasons, namely that she doesn't want to lose him like she lost his father. Outside this trio, the strongest supporting roles go to Robert Pattinson, who seems to be having the time of his life as the sleazy, conniving, utterly evil villain, while Samantha Morton anchors the movie's best sequence as Circe, a witch who runs afoul of Odysseus' men. One notable thing is that despite the stacked cast, many of the biggest names are playing relatively small but important parts, with Theron and Zendaya, who plays Athena, essential to the plot but not in the film all that much. The same goes for Lupita Nyong'o as the controversially cast Helen of Troy, who really only has a few minutes of screen time, although her scenes with her husband, Jon Bernthal's Menelaus, are pretty potent stuff. Technically, the film is a marvel, but I have a strong caveat here. For some reason, Universal opted to show us the movie in 70mm, but not IMAX, meaning we saw it in 235:1 scope. It honestly felt like I was watching the movie in pan and scan, with it obvious the movie was composed for the large format IMAX frame, despite Nolan saying that it was not. It was composed for both formats. I don't know if I buy that, because one of my complaints coming out of it not only was that it was too dark, but that the compositions really lacked scale. But I imagine one can't really judge Hoyte van Hoytema's work without having seen it the way it was intended, on the massive, massive IMAX scale. So I guess I'll be seeing this twice. One thing that did work, though, is Ludwig Göransson's score, which is awesome. Again, I hesitate to give the Odyssey a definitive rating, as I feel like I truly didn't get to see it the way it was intended on an IMAX screen, but even still I was mostly captivated by it. While not at first glance among Nolan's absolute best, it's still a stunning achievement and among the most ambitious films of its time. It's a full meal, that's for sure, and I give it an 8 out of 10.